So I am with Christine, the founder and CEO of Global Startup Ecosystem. So Christine, tell me about your company. It's based in New York, but you do business with Ghana and elsewhere.
Yeah, so Global Startup Ecosystem is based in New York, but we have offices in Africa with Ghana and in Europe with London. And essentially our mission since the beginning is to prepare people for the digital age. And so we do that as a organization. We skill and upskill thousands of people from emerging markets, especially Africa and the Caribbean, through our digital accelerator platform. And we are also the powering organization behind mega tech summits across the continent. So Nigeria Tech Summit, Ghana Tech Summit, Haiti Tech Summit, we're the ones that power that series around the world.
So Africa is actually already ahead of many other countries because they've leapfrogged, you know, and they are very tech savvy.
Yeah.
So what kind of work do you do on a day-to-day basis to get people online, on digital?
Yeah, so going back to that mission of preparing young people for the digital age, we have actually initiated, since for the past 7 years, the largest digital accelerator program where we have, on average, anywhere from 1,500 Africans going through the program to as high as like 8,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a very large entity. We work with Fortune 500 companies, so Google, IBM, IDB, where we're helping them build the capacity for the digital workforce, because especially since the pandemic, being remote, being upskilled, being able to really be there for SME companies and countries alike, people need to be prepared for that. So we train the workforce on the ground.
You know, that's really fantastic and huge numbers. The thing is with Africa is like in some countries you have people who are really tech savvy, who are online, but that gap between the haves and the have-nots and the people who don't even have the digital tech, they don't have the mobiles or the laptops. What are you doing to bridge that gap?
Yeah, so being on the ground, as I stated before, we're based in New York, but when I went to Ghana to open the office, it was supposed to be something that would take probably 2 weeks. Now, 8 months later, and it's one of our fastest growing segments at the company. And so essentially to bridge that gap, now, first off, culturally, families and friends respect and understand the need for tech. So you're seeing that there's more support within the home, whether you're female, whether you're a woman, to get out there, go to a local library to leverage tech spaces. There's also more incubator hubs, so we partner. We also have the Ghana Tech Hub, so we have a facility where people could come, leverage our ICT and our Wi-Fi resources. And we actually partner with hotels, where once a month we ask hotels to allow for a lobby space for Africans to come and just use digital spaces to do hackathons, programs, and initiatives. So we're going to expand to restaurants next year across Ghana and across the African continent. But it's a way where you don't have to be switched on throughout the year, but these like one-off experiences really help bridge that tech gap.
And so at a conference like this, where you have the public and the private sector and other investors, what is it that you want people to know so that they can come and invest their money in Africa and in these digital accelerators?
Where do we begin? I mean, at the end of the day, I think the conversation, the narrative has shifted. I think before we spent a good time period trying to shift the narrative around Africa being a place of opportunity and not just a place of of a negative narration. But now I think it's very abundant the fact that the youngest working population is going to be on the African continent. People now know this. It's pretty much a mainstream statistic now. No one needs to have a debate about whether Africa's workforce is going to be prepared. It is going to be the go-to place. So I would say that if you want to invest in the future and invest in what's happening next, do it now, right? Because I think we could say that, anytime people wait till it becomes mainstream, you kind of lose out on the opportunity. So build for the young first now, because the young people that you're supporting today, they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. They're going to be ones powering the organizations and the institutions in Africa. So if you invest in them today, you'll be prepared for what's next tomorrow, especially in the globalized digital space that we're living in today. That's probably the most paramount thing I could say. Don't wait till the end. Be a part of it now. Be a part of it.
When you talk about changing the narrative, what's interesting to me is that you're a woman and you're a founder and you're a CEO. And we may have changed the narrative in terms of Africa, but in terms of female leadership, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But it's great that you are a role model now in this space. Talk to me a little bit about the potential of women and female leadership on the continent and what still needs to happen to really change that narrative.
Oh, I love it. 10 years ago when I was in the tech space, you know, it was always a common occurrence where people looked at females as supportive roles. Now there's an automatic assumption if they see a female walk into the room, what are you working on? What are you doing? So people are asking the right questions. And I'm a mother of 4. And I will tell you that, you know, being a mom and running an organization as large as ours across the continent and across emerging markets in general, it's nice to see that now you're seeing young people automatically make that assumption. So what I would say, especially for young women, I don't need to tell them to be confident. Pretty much like, you know, capacity. So it's going from a conversation of confidence to not capacity. What's your capacity as a female role model, as someone who's doing things not only on the ground, but on a global scale? I try to represent that conversation to other ladies coming up. Like, look, you do have the capacity to do excellent things around the world. You do have the capacity to try new things, try new initiatives, and go for it. And obviously leading by example helps. But what we started to do as well, we're starting to do private conversations and dinners behind the scenes.
That's great.
Because sometimes there are certain conversations when you have them privately with women, so you can really get to the core of conversations. It really helps a lot. So
and it's so important for women to see themselves reflected in leadership positions, so they have role models like you to look up to, but also culturally, you know, on television, on shows, in sports arenas, in arenas where people once thought they were, you know, male-dominated societies, for example. So tell me, from your lens, sitting in New York, but obviously with operations in Africa, and as a woman, founder and CEO, what makes Africa unstoppable?
Oh, Africa is unstoppable because now I think it's not even that, you know, people see Africa as a place of opportunity. People now light up when you say the word Africa. And I think there's something powerful to see, like, you know, when people say the word Africa, there's a smile that beams across people's faces where people realize, like, you know, the culture, the food. I mean, look at the music culture, right? Look at the food culture. Now, it's literally when I go to any institution and they play music, Afrobeats is the first thing that people play, right? And so to see the way people lit up, I would say Africa is unstoppable because Africa is not only the alpha and the omega, it's the beginning and the last of a lot of dialogues now. People start conversations about Africa and people end conversations about Africa, and everything in between with those dialogues is just pure inspiration, pure excitement. And even the challenges, I see an entrepreneurial outlook on the challenges that are across Africa, where there's a challenge, there's opportunity for growth and business now. So it's great to see that shift. And again, I'll just say Africa's unstoppable because it's always been the most powerful hub of people, places, and just opportunity.
Thank you so much, Christine. Pleasure.
Thank you so much.